You know, for a game reviewer, I sure have a lack of wall of games behind me. Instead, I have, like, plush critters.
Well, I mean, at least some of them are from video games. I mean, you got Kirby, you got an Elebit, some Pokemon, Gamer Cat. Well, okay, that last one is based on games rather than from one, but, yeah, what can you do? I like my cute stuff.
Still, I hope to recollect those games from the past, even though I didn't really have many as a kid. Seriously. I was limited to maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 if I'm lucky, games for my birthday or Christmas if it wasn't a new system already. I mean, coming from a family that would break even, we'd kind of thrive off of free stuff. Deal hunting don't get any better than free.
In fact, we used to use Net0. Anyone remember that? Anyone at all? No? Well, for those too young to know, it was a free-to-use ISP that was morbidly slow, but my family favored it to AOL and their contract nonsense. Yeah, you got ripped off.
So on my free internet, I'd try to find other free things. After school, I was always like, oh man, what kind of gems await me? What kind of stuff can I unearth? If the internet was earthen, I guess. And I'd find quite a few fun things, actually. One of those things being free Flash games.
I used to peruse Google to find these games out there made by gamers for gamers. I think my first usual spot was Candy Stand or Neopets. One of those two. The Newgrounds was always a hot spot for me for a while. And then around in my college days, I came across a little game called Hot Air made by Nitrome. And ever since, Nitrome.com has been one of my favorite sites for browser games, even to today.
And speaking of Nitrome, segue.
In this review, we're going to be looking at a website called Nitrome.com, launched back around April 5th, 2005, according to the Nitrome wiki. It's a site based around short but fun Flash games, and more recently, Unity games. I say they're most known for their quirky gameplay elements and shiny pixel graphics. It's like GamerCan. I'd love to cover all their games, but as of this review, they have almost 150 games total to look at, so I'll be touching on a handful of their games that I think would be fun to share. These ones specifically. Even then, that's a lot to cover, so for this review, I think I'll start with the first 5 here. The Hot Air series and the Snot Put series. Hot Air was released in 2005 and was Nitrome's first released game. You could say it's an action game that focuses on getting hot air, being your character, to the end platform by using your mouse as a fan to blow him around. I think it's a guy, her, he? I think canonically it's a guy. The gameplay is actually pretty similar to another game called Bubble Ghost, if you're familiar with that one. Instead of a fan in that one, you control the ghost that pushes your bubble around through sharp thing-infested rooms to the goal. Hence the title. It's the title. Yes. The catch is that in this game, everything's deadly to touch. And I mean everything, even if it doesn't have spikes on it. It's a fun, but kinda stressful game.
How did John Tron describe Sonic 06 on Game Grumps? It's like a spidery corner. You drop something important in this one corner of your room that you hadn't cleaned in a while, and there's a lot of cobwebs, and you can visibly see like 4 or 5 of them staring back at you. But you need it, so you're reaching in and you're... I like spiders, but not that much.
Oh, no, butt clench. Okay. Oh, God. This is where Hot Air gets its reputation for being really hard. Maybe I'm jaded today by games being kind of dumbed down for people, but this game wrecks me pretty bad when I play it nowadays. I partially blame a little bug in the controls. There's this kind of odd jerkiness to it when you're trying to go straight up and down or left and right. It's kind of like the physics that affect Hot Air from the fan are restricted to 8 directions, so you gotta do this kind of weird sweeping motion. On top of that, you gotta watch out for your little driver buddy down below you, because if he gets caught on something, you're out too. I like that I lost there, but you could hear the star collection sound on the way down. Anyway, speaking of the stars, there are some collectibles you have to consider when you're playing the game. The 2 main ones being keys and stars. Keys open those concrete doorways with locks on them. Don't question the logistics behind that, I don't know. And the stars are used to unlock the last 5 levels on the menu screen. Get all the stars in a level and you get one on the level menu. Then you get enough stars on the level menu and you unlock the stages on the bottom. I'll be honest, I haven't been tough enough to even get 10 of these. Heck, I can't even get to the 8th level.
I know it might sound like I don't like the game, but I actually do. It's just that the difficulty is so heavy, despite the candy-coated graphics and everything, that it's like pulling teeth, which is what happens when you eat too much candy. Moderation, guys. Moderation. Hey, eat you an apple. Here. I don't know why I threw the apple at the camera. Now there's apple juice all over the chair. Well, that wasn't in the script.
Anyways, that was their first game, so naturally there'd be some difficulty spikes and some practice and balancing to be learned in game design. A sequel was made to Hot Air, aptly titled Hot Air 2 All Blown Up, in 2007. The sequel is a lot of the same for some key differences. This time, there's sort of a story that kind of goes with it. Hot Air and his wife of no name in particular are just chilling, and this guy, Baron von Blund, captures Hot Air's waifu, and Hot Air has a scrunch about it and sets off to get her back. The idea is generally the same, get to the goal, collect keys and stars, but now you can also unlock skins for Hot Air, which is pretty cool. In fact, there was a balloon creator game that lets you make your own skin for him, and it was saved to Nitrome's website, but that was shut down after the sheer volume of skins that were being made hit around 10 million or so. And most of them were kind of obscene.
Rule number 1 of customizable things. If they can make a penis, they're gonna make a penis. 10 million of them. Okay, but in all seriousness, 10 million skins was bogging down the site, so unfortunately they had to do something.
At any rate, the game's a little less hard than the first one, at least from what I was noticing. But that being said, it's still pretty difficult. Honestly, I still think a lot of the difficulty comes from that weird jerking control. It's the same engine from the first game, so the issue is still here. I know this is only one small thing, but it's the small thing that makes a big difference, and it really does make that game that much harder. It also doesn't help when you accidentally click off screen too, and accidentally click somebody's avatar to bring up their profile. I don't even know why they made this comments section. It's mostly just dumb stuff, or a petition to Nitrome about progressing to mobile or something like that.
How dare you evolve and adapt, Nitrome? I want you to make free games for me, and only free games. For me.
Seriously though, the comment section of Nitrome's games are odd at best, and spoilers consist of gibberish or nonsense. I don't know why these were added, but they're kind of funny to read sometimes. Where was I? Oh, right, Hot Air 2. There was also the introduction of boss battles. I couldn't make it that far, so here's some footage I found on YouTube. I'll link to the creators below. Anyways, you have to take out bosses while avoiding colliding with them. It's pretty straightforward, really. There's only a few bosses, and each take the old 3 hits formula that we all know and love. And eventually you get to the ending where the two get married, and a stork flies overhead with a baby. And I'm not going to question how they made a junior, but it's implied. I mean, look how embarrassed he gets, and I don't know.
I figured the baby would be floating upwards, seeing as it's another hot air balloon, but, I'm not going to question the logistics of hot air balloons mating. What's up with me reviewing games with baby making in them? I'm like 2 reviews in, and I don't even really like babies that much. Anyways, that leads us to the third in the series, and my personal favorite of the 3, and actually kind of one of my favorites of Nitrome in general, Hot Air Junior.
A demo was released in May of 2012 for Hot Air Junior, showcasing its control and feel. It consisted of a large level with different rooms to navigate through and 15 stars in total to find. The demo was released to get feedback for the newly made game engine and physics and all that jazz. The level depicted never really appears in the final game, but the demo still can be played on the site, which is totally worth playing, by the way, as is the final game released on June 28th of the same year. At the start of the game, you're greeted with a cutscene of Hot Air's family telling Junior that it's a sunny day outside, go play with the dog. The balloon dog, of course, named Squeak. Squidgy. Squidgy Squeak. Look at Squidgy. Squeaky's kidnapped by a boss ad's... I don't think it has an actual name. The wiki just lists it as Giant Spike Ball. Anyways, this guy captures that guy, and this dude has to do a thing about it. Never mind telling the parents or anything, or the police, just go save Squeak. Let's start by going back in the house, for some reason. First thing you'll notice is that the game probably has the most elaborate of the stage selections in the series, being a full-fledged hub world in Hot Air's house and yard. It's pretty neat. The only thing that confuses me is I don't know why the family has a bunch of spikes in their house. The thing that could kill them in an instant. I don't know, maybe Hot Air Senior is paranoid about Baron von potential reprisals or something. Anyways, the gameplay is, once again, the same. Use your fan to blow Junior around and get him to the goal, but this time it's much easier and much more refined. You can say that the game is more of an adventure game now than action, as it's way more relaxing to play. In fact, the overall mood of the game seems more chill. The music is delightful, the colors are softer and more pastel, and the difficulty is, well, it's easier, but it's not too easy, which is good. Nitrome has had a few more years of experience since then, so they've learned how to balance their games proper and make a much more enjoyable experience. One big plus is, if it doesn't have spikes or is alive, it won't hurt you now. You can land or bump into smooth walls just fine, which lets the player breathe long enough to get their bearings on the now larger scale levels. There's also a checkpoint system for those that fail midway into a level, which is a nice addition, but if you end up failing and you want all the stars, you're gonna have to go back the old-fashioned way. By the way, that weird twitching issue I kept mentioning in the first two, it's gone. They fixed it, and the controls butter smooth now. Delicious butter. In addition, since a lot of the levels are actually big ones that scroll around as you move Junior and they have different rooms, you're a lot less likely to click outside of the window by accident. They thought this one through. Good on them.
I can't stress how important this is in a game. See, if you have weird control issues like in the first two, the player is going to end up getting frustrated at the game. Whereas if you have a solid control scheme to it, like in Hot Air Junior, when they screw up, they may blame themselves rather than the game. See, it's the difference between, crap, I screwed up. I see what I did wrong though, so I can improve on that, rather than, screw you, game, you screwed me out of a victory again. See, it's a huge difference.
Keys and stars make a return with some great changes too. Keys now dangle below your driver and make the balloon heavier to navigate with. Stars make a return in which, when you collect them all, you not only get a mustache star to unlock new levels, but they also unlock new skins, similar to Hot Air 2. Except I find the skins in this one far better. I like the fire one, and the one with the little heart cheeks, and the one that looks like Snot. Snot being a character from another one of Nitrome's games. A booger really shouldn't be that cute, but he kinda is. Speaking of changing the mechanics up, going back to the way the key weighs you down, this is a small thing, but it adds enough variety to the game to where it keeps it from getting stale. In fact, oh man, I could go on for a while on how they handled the mechanics really freaking well in this game. Seriously. They kind of do what Nintendo does, where, you know how Nintendo introduced the Kuribo shoe in Super Mario Bros. 3, but only for one level? Basically, they introduce a new mechanic just long enough to make you learn it, enjoy it, but then it's put aside for something new in the next level. So, say for a couple solid things they like to reuse, like the hover bombs. The hover bombs are interesting as you use the fan to blow them around too, similar to Junior. There's also a level that involves these little fiery, embery dudes that you have to extinguish with the fan to stun them long enough so you can get by. But all while doing both of those things, this also pushes Junior around a bit, so it's a matter of timing and patience, kind of finagling your way forward. The enemies are really neat too. I mean, there's even one with Snot in it again. Again, that's from one of Nitrome's games. Snot Put.
Did I mention that Nitrome likes to cameo their own characters in their own games?
Then there's one level that has Junior swell up over time, so you have to be kind of quick to get him through this maze of spikes before he gets too big, otherwise you end up failing. On top of that, the more poofy he gets, the more gravity goes up instead of down. It's kind of neat. There's even a level where this little squidgy-looking jerk grabs your cursor, making you have to strategically place Junior somewhere long enough for you to let him grab you and shake him off so that he's stunned long enough to get Junior to the next place. Because as long as he's grabbed you, you can't blow Junior around. It sounds frustrating, but the way they handle this and all the mechanics in the game and the enemies and everything makes it congeal really well.
It's like when you mix just the right amount of sugar and cream in your coffee. It's good for you. Oh, okay, it's not good for you, it's good for your soul. If you want actual health benefits, drink some water, tea or something. I ain't blow my nose, all this talk of snot's getting to me.
There are 17 stages in total, and 4 of those are unlocked by getting the mustache stars on the other levels. There's only one boss this time around, being, let's call him Spike. Spike is a little tricky to take on. The objective here is to use the floating bombs to hit him 3 times. Twice on the spikes, and then once more on the body when he opens his shell. It sounds easy at first, but the trick is waiting until he's in just the right position to push the bomb towards a weak point, all while not pushing yourself into him or missing. Once you give him the old 1-2, 3, he'll surrender and you can rescue Squeak. Woo. Or you can be a jerk and bomb him one more time and get the bad ending, but either way the endings aren't really that impressive. You just get a little dialogue box telling you, hey, congrats, you beat the game. And after that, there's of course the 4 extra stages that are totally worth checking out, as they have their own mechanics and gimmicks to show as well. Trust me, get the stars.
At any rate, that's the series. It's sort of a testament to how Nitrome grew as a company over the years between Hot Air 2 and Hot Air Junior. It's a really fun game. It's a really fun series. The first two are hard, but Junior's my favorite. It's definitely one of my favorites. Its review was kind of short, actually. I'll tell you what, why don't I touch on one more real quick short series called the Snot Put series. Speaking of snot, since that's on the mind, or nose, both. Here it is.
The Snot Put series is a couple of super simple score-based games, the first being released in 2008 and the second one in 2012. Both are really similar in gameplay, just the sequel has better graphics and some new and refined features. So the objective is to pick this little guy, aptly named Snot, from the aptly named Nose, and flick him as far as you can to the right. I guess the basic idea here, what you want to do is kind of, you pick him and then you kind of whirligig him, and then you let him fly. But I find it easier to just kind of flick him forward, like normal, just like real life. I don't know why, but I find Snot absolutely adorable for some reason. Why is the booger cute? It shouldn't be. I think it's the blushy marks. I don't know. Look at him. He's so happy. This is why I like Nitrome's visuals. They're super cute and candy-coated. Look at him wobble. Wobble, wobble. At any rate, there's a leaderboard, but the high scores are kind of impossible to beat. At least for me, anyways. I don't even know how they got to 4,700. I even use this little exploit where you drag Snot to the bottom left, and then you right-click, and then left-click in the top right corner, and that flings Snot really hard to the right and upwards. But I've only been able to get up to about 4,200. I don't know how they got it that far. Anyways, it's still fun, though. Super Snot Put is the same idea with some notable improvements and changes. The graphics have been shined up, so now he's got these, like, goopy, sticky lines. He's so goopy. I don't think I've ever been grossed out and been like, oh, so squidgy at the same time. Also, this game was compatible with something that Nitrome had going called Nitrome Touchy.
See, Touchy was kind of cool because you could use your smartphone and link up to the internet through a server and basically play Nitrome's games different ways. You'd have a control pad, motion controls, some would even have up to 4-player. Super Snot Put had a couple of ways you can control Snot. One was you'd put your finger on there and you'd whirligig it around and then you'd let it go and see how far he goes. The other was sort of like the Wii where you'd whirligig it around and then you'd let Oh. Well, that's two things I've broken today. 2 apples. Both of them Macintoshes. Don't actually let go of the phone.
Anyways, Touchy was discontinued in 2015, 3 years after its release due to Brass Monkey, the company that owned the server that Touchy used to connect your smartphone to Nitrome's games, discontinuing the servers. It's a shame, really, as I never really got to use it much, as it costs money for most of the games. At any rate, that's the Snot Put series. They're more like mini-games than full games, but I figured I'd Touchy on them since I brought them up. Yes. Hashtag dad jokes. I'm not even sorry.
I still find it interesting that Snot actually gets not only a cameo, but a skin in the Hot Air series, where Nitrome's own mascot, Q-Boy, I'll put a picture of him over here, didn't even get a skin or a cameo in this. I mean, they have the same face, Q-Boy and Hot Air, so it makes sense, right? Actually, now that I think about it, I'm surprised that Nitrome hasn't even tried merchandising. They've got a lot of really appealing character designs, and I think they'd actually sell really well, be it a plush or a figure. I know I'd like a Hot Air or a Q-Boy plush figure to go on my shelf or something. That and Swindler. Swindler's like this goopy, squishy, stretchy guy, and he'd actually be like this. He'd be like one of these spandexy microbead plushies. That's a smart man. Speaking of Swindler, that's what I'll review next, but that will have to be for part 2 of my Nitrome review. So tune in then. But until Hot Air gets his own plush, I'll have to make my own. That'd be cool. Stars, 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 stars. I may have an addiction, I thought. Is my phone actually okay? Yeah, it's good. It's got an art box.